I don't know where it went. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and do the little disclaimer. This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free. Hey, y'all. Happy Friday. It's so good to see y'all. We've got a lot to talk about this evening. I have been wanting to do this stream for a little while. I've got all of the timestamps and everything like that we need. Lord, I need to do something right here. I need to get me some stuff at work. Good to see you. Hey, Wolfpack, good to see you. Hannah UK, Lori Ann, good to see you, love. I saw that Cindy from sunny South Florida was here. Thank you for being here. The kids got re-lost. Did they? I don't know. They got lost again. I lost them while I was trying to play it. It's good to see y'all. Thank you all so much for being here. One sunny day. Good to see you, love. Lori Ann, good to see you, love. I'm so glad y'all are here. Percy, good to see you. Good to see you. I straightened my hair today. What do y'all think? It's so long. Look, that's how long it is. So long. All right. We are also streaming on Kick. I have put my Kick link in the description if you guys want to come and follow me there. I will try to make a post later with the link to Kick as well. I'm trying streaming there because some people are having luck, so I figured we would try it. I also burnt the crap out of my hand, so if you see me looking down, I am looking at my hand that I burnt when I was making dinner. Forrest, good to see you. Popping in to give a like. Busy modding tonight. We'll catch this on replay. All right, love. Well, you have a good night over there. I hope that everything's good. I saw she's been covering a lot of Nancy Guthrie. What is it? She's been doing the damn thing, hasn't she? I'm going to give y'all a link to Sleuth Investigates. Sleuth Investigates has been covering Nancy Guthrie quite a lot. I don't know if she's live right now or not, but I'm going to give you guys the link to her channel if you haven't subscribed. And of course, Hio. I think you guys have that link. All right, so with that, let me write down my timestamp if I can write. 3:58. Okay, we're going to get started. I have an interview that I found, and I want to go over with you guys. And I did request permission. Hold on. Sorry, I had to scratch my nose. I didn't want to do that in front of y'all. A chosen one. Sounds. Do you not have sounds? Does it sound weird? Let me check my settings. I found a thing, a video I would like to go over with you guys. And I did ask for permission. I haven't heard back from them. So we're going to go through it. I do have timestamps. We're going to fair use it. And we're going to talk about several different things in several different videos. I have been kind of excited to do this with you guys. There will be two videos that two live streams that I do on this situation. The first, okay, that was a mistake. All right, perfect. Thank you. The first one is going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and his idea with the girls. He saw himself as a sultan of sorts, and we are going, of course, and we are going to go over an interview that Mario Nawfal did with a victim of his. As you can see here on my YouTube that I have pulled up, there is a picture of this girl. Her name is Rina. And I've gone through, I've spent several hours today getting timestamps. So this one should be a good one. Rewrite that timestamp. And with that, we will get started. I will also grab Mario's link to drop in the chat periodically, though it is already in the description. This is going to be a very interesting, very informational video that I think you guys will enjoy just like I have. We're going to start at the 1 minute mark. Maybe. All right. So this is Mario Nawfal. I have followed him on X for a long time. My Mr. Speculating has too. He does a lot of good content. The title of this video is Childhood-Sized Genitalia. And then it says Epstein survivor Rina on, quote, Harem and baby farms and Ghislaine Maxwell. Um, I do also believe that I think I'm being shadow banned by YouTube because monetization, it gets turned off on a lot of my videos because they are very graphic, which I've not really had a concern for, and my copyright because of my music and stuff. But it didn't really bother me. I was okay with it because I mean, I don't make much money off of AdSense anyway. However, in order for my videos to get pushed out, I need to try to not be shadow banned. So if you guys, when we get done with this video, if you find that you like it, please share it out. Please make sure you hit the thumbs up. Twinkle, twinkle, baby, over to that thumbs up if you guys don't mind.
Come on, players, stop hating. Stop hating. Start participating. Start participating, Star. Come on, twinkle, twinkle, baby. Twinkle, twinkle.
Twinkle, twinkle, baby. All right. With that, we'll get started. So we're starting with this video.
It was a pleasure to meet you. I appreciate doing this interview, especially with all the developments that are happening. And I've been going through the files, and there's just so much there that me and others are trying to decipher. And for someone that has spent so long with Epstein, I think he spent 2 years in total, who was a victim of Epstein, I think he can give us a different, maybe a different understanding or different way to view those files, and maybe certain things that we cannot understand that maybe make sense to you. But before doing that, Rina, what I would love to do is go through your story. I know you've talked.
So she spent 2 years with Jeffrey Epstein. Edith, thank you for being a member for 14 months and sharing that milestone. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for the continued support. That is amazing of you.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you for the continued support. I'm glad you've been here for 14 months. That is amazing. What a long time. It's good to see you. And thank you so much for being here. How are you feeling? Lorianne asked, how you doing? Everything going all right?
Talked about it before, but I'd love to go through how you met Epstein, what happened, and tell me about those 2 years you spent with him.
Sure. So my name is Rina Oh, and I met Jeffrey Epstein through my friend Lisa Phillips, who has been a very outspoken advocate for the other survivors. Lisa was one of my best friends, and we're still friends today. I was looking to pursue an artist's career in New York, and she mentioned Jeffrey Epstein was this incredible art collector, and he was wealthy, and he lived in the neighborhood where most of the other art collectors that I had met previously lived.
This is weird for me. Is it normal for students that are in the art field to look for wealthy philanthropists to help get them through college? I don't really understand why, because, and I hope I don't upset her or this person, but I saw a couple of things that were a bit alarming to me in this video, or not alarming necessarily, but the things that I don't necessarily, I had some questions about. I'll say it like that. Content's good to see. You said they're called benefactors. So it's normal for somebody that's pursuing an art degree to look for wealthy philanthropists to put them through school? I found that interesting from the beginning. Yep, we're going to talk about that. That's really important in this. Hey, Jenny Jen A1 from day one. Good to see you. Glad you are here. So starting to feel better now. I have 2 kidney stones and a UTI, but the antibiotics are helping. Thank you for asking. Okay, I'm sorry you're going through that. Goldenrod tea is really good for UTI. I hope you feel better. Sex isn't typically involved. I would hope not.
So I assumed this man was legitimate, and I went to his house. I brought my portfolio with me, and he really liked a lot of my work. If you go through the files, you can see the type of artwork he collected, and he was into, I know I hate this word, but it's called representational art.
So he was more into representational art, and she's might have said or is going to tell you that she does sculpture. Oh, look, a squirrel. Good to see you, my love. You are in the vertical live. If you click the link at the top, it will bring you to the regular live. Oh, look, a squirrel said alternate form of stripping, and it's every major doing what you got to do to get them loans paid. Okay. Thank you for the information. I never pursued college. I probably should have, but I didn't. Thank you so much for the compliment on my hat. I was trying something different. Charles Manson. That's an interesting viewpoint. Scratch the paint. Epstein reminds you of Charles Manson. I would not have made that connection. I kind of idolized Charles Manson back in the day. I wondered how he could get those girls to do those things that they did. And I mean, it does kind of mirror Epstein, because you got to ask, how did all of those girls do exactly what he wanted? Artwork is the way they launder money. You know what, Glenn Benton, good to see you. You're in the vertical live, by the way. If you click that link, you can come to the regular live. So, I have heard about them laundering money, especially when I heard about ex-president's son selling artwork that looked like it had been finger painted to launder money, allegedly, I'll say.
Which is figurative art. It's similar to the painting that's in your backdrop.
In his backdrop, we see a painting. It looks like maybe the Alamo. We've got a lot of generals with. This one's got a bunch of awards and medals on his jacket. There's a horse. Representational art is going to be representative of real life events or things like that. You think Epstein was a cult leader? You might feel even more so that way after we watch this video.
Very realistic style, and I'm a sculptor, and he took a kin to my work. That's how I met him. He immediately called me right afterwards. His secretary made an appointment, and I went to go see him, and he told me, you should be in school. I think you're really talented. And he offered me a scholarship to go to art school.
So I'm assuming that's kind of the goal with seeking out wealthy philanthropists. The loans are hell on earth. Most our degrees no longer matter because too many people have them. You're doing pretty dang good without one. So be glad. Thank you. Oh, look, a squirrel. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous the way they loan out money to young adults and expect them to pay that all back just for school. I think that we should be able to go to school and pursue a career if that's what you want to do, because not everybody wants to do it, and we should have funding for that. You shouldn't have to do stuff like this. Hitler versus Manson. That's an interesting one. Wolfpack. Very interesting.
And he said, I didn't have to ever see him again. I thought this was an amazing, it's my dream come true. And here's this philanthropist. And he mentioned sending other students whom he had never met. They were the children of the mothers that he knew from high school. He sent them to Ivy League colleges, paid for their tuition, and eventually they wrote him gratitude letters when they graduated. But, even then he had never met them. So I assume.
So I think that another thing is, if you give to charity or if you donate money, if you bring in a lot of money, it's a tax write-off. So I wonder if that's something he was doing. I also found it interesting, the girls that he went to school with, he paid for their children's degrees as well. You already look young, but with your hair like that and the cap, you look like you're in college. Oh, thank you. I used to wear hats and my hair straight a lot back in the day. I appreciate the compliments. Y'all are so sweet.
This is what was going to happen with me. It turned out not to be the case. And going forward for 2 years, he manipulated me. And what makes my story very unique is I've asked the other girls, has Jeffrey ever given you a title? Did he give you a special name, or did he call you anything that was special? And all of them said no from the beginning. And, anyone who is familiar with this topic, they will understand the polygamy system. He told me I was going to be a favorite and I was going to be a part of a harem. And so going forward, almost every conversation I had with Jeffrey Epstein for 2 years revolved around the harem, the Sultan, the favorites, the wives, the children of the wives. And this just went on. And he really sort of brainwashed me into, I didn't realize how deep it went. And I thought in the beginning that it was just an idea. I've studied a lot of the painting.
So we're going to stop there and talk about what exactly is a harem and the Ottoman Empire Sultan's potato. You are in vertical. You can click the link to come to the regular live if you like to. It says Domino's has pizza. They do. They also have cheesy breadsticks and salad sometimes. They've got quite a few things. Thank you for the information, though. And 10 years ago, I'm thankful for going, but damn, it was expensive. It is too expensive. Hannah said in the UK, student loans only have to be repaid if your salary exceeds a certain amount, and then it comes directly out of your pay slip amount. If not paid off after 40 years, they are removed. That's cool. That's really cool. Domino's sucks. He did groom her. So let's talk about what is a harem and the Ottoman Empire. So a harem, in former times, the separate part of a Muslim household reserved for wives, concubines, and female servants. This is how it's pronounced. Harem. So harem says the word has been recorded in the English language since the early 17th century. It comes from the Arabic harem, which can mean a sacred, inviolable place. A harem or female members of the family. A harem may house a man's wife or wives and their prepubescent male sons, unmarried daughters, female domestic servants, and other unmarried female relatives. In the past, during the era of slavery in the Muslim world, harems also housed enslaved concubines. In former times, some harems were guarded by eunuchs who were allowed inside. The eunuchs were men that were castrated, by the way. The structure of the harem and the extent of monogamy and polygamy have varied depending on the family's personality, socioeconomic status, and local customs. Similar institutions have been common in other Mediterranean and Middle Eastern civilizations, especially among royal and upper class families. The term is sometimes used in other contexts. In traditional Persian residential architecture, the women's quarters were known as the inside, and the Indian subcontinent as Zina, which meant of the women. In the West, the harem, often depicted as a hidden world of sexual subjugation, where numerous women lounged in suggestive poses, has influenced many paintings, staged productions, films, and literary works. Some earlier European Renaissance paintings dating back to the 16th century portray the women of the Ottoman harem as individuals of status and political significance. In many periods of Islamic history, individual women of the harem exercised various degrees of political influence. And now we're going to look into the sultans of the Ottoman Empire, because that is what it seems she's explaining to us that Jeffrey wanted to be. Forgot to look this one part up. I've got everything else already. Hold on just a minute. Okay. Let me pull it up. Sorry, I didn't mean for y'all to have that up close and personal in my face. Sultans of the Ottoman Empire and harem. The Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, often referred to as Sheikh or Sultan, was the absolute ruler of the empire. The harem or seraglio was the private residence of the Sultan and his concubines, where they lived in a strict hierarchy. The harem played a crucial role in the Ottoman Empire's governance, with the Valide Sultan or Queen Mother and other harem women wielding significant influence over state politics and culture. The harem was not just a place of leisure, but vital institution that shaped the destiny of the empire. And here is a picture of what is assumed or could be a concubine. So she's going to tell you, and she's going to let us know how he was kind of obsessed with the Ottoman Empire and the ideology of the harems that were very common during that time period when sexual slavery and all of that was going on. A reverse harem. I know that's right. Harem. Okay. My next timestamp is 8:02. This is going to talk about specifically Jeffrey's harem. Harem. Oh my goodness.
Okay. So what did he end up creating? Was it an actual harem like you've just described, or something more than that? How was it practically? How did it function?
It seems like because there's so many victims, you know, we're finding out it began with 200, you know, in 2019 to 2020, 2021, when these class action lawsuits were being filed, and, you know, there were 200 plaintiffs, and now we're finding out that there are over 1,000 victims. Typically in a harem, they're the women that are inside the harem, and they're all called slaves. Like they're literally slaves. If you enter a harem, you enter as a slave, whether you enter as a wife, as a concubine, or whatever. They're all slaves. They belong to the Sultan, and you can never leave, you know, and you're bound to him for the rest of your life. So they ranged from several hundred to, I think, one of the sultans in the Ottoman Empire at one point probably had about close to 1,000. It's called, they refer to it as the gilded cage, or the golden, I think it's a gilded cage, because you're almost like this bird that is placed inside a cage and you can't leave.
So we talk about young girls. We know that Jeffrey Epstein was a PDF file, and I find it interesting that he had this ideology of being a sultan of a harem, and just, I mean, that's what he did. He put these girls inside of a gilded or golden cage. They couldn't escape him. They could leave, they could go to school, they could do different things, but they could never really escape him, which is really sad to think about. Really upsetting. Now we're going to go to 1035.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I was saying he's created that world for himself.
Essentially, he did, and in the beginning, for a while, I thought it was.
So far they've just talked about the harem, the Ottoman Empire, and kind of what his intentions were in trying to create that. We're skipping through it, but I have marked down all of the important timestamps and places where she talks about her personal story with him, and the timestamps of significance. And we also have a couple other videos to go look at too when they get to certain parts of the video, just to kind of reiterate and show more proof through files and things like that.
It was just an idea, because he was just talking about it. I was like, oh, this is a great idea. Maybe he wants even to make, you know, the harem like paintings, you know, like, and I would always sort of like repeat what he said. And
I want to ask you guys a question, and I might put it as a poll. If you were to meet Jeffrey Epstein, right? Or okay, let me make up a different person. If you were to meet this man who was a philanthropist, and you were really into art, and he's really into harems, the Ottoman Empire, the ideology of harems, and he wants to make a harem. Would you think he's talking about paintings, or would you think that he was talking about the actual, like trying to make an actual harem? Because I don't think that she really thought, as he's talking about this every single time they see each other, he's talking about this idea of a harem. I really think that at some point you would have known he's not just talking about paintings. That's my thought process on that. I don't think that she was naive enough to think that he was just talking about paintings. If he indeed talked about it every time they saw each other.
And that really excited him, because I was so into the paintings. The paintings are very beautiful. The architecture, the lighting. Dominique Ong at the time was probably the most prominent French painter. And he painted a lot of portraits of royal, you know, family members, not just in Turkey, you know, in the Middle East, but, you know, in France and throughout Europe. So I was just really into the artwork. And whenever he described, you know, his ideas, his plans, I really just thought we were just talking about art and talking about an idea, like a topic of interest.
I have trouble believing that. She's going to talk about how there was another girl with them, and I'm trying to pull up this artist so you guys can see some of his work. There was another girl with them. Ghislaine was with them. I mean, I really don't think that she was just thought that he was talking about paintings. Here's one of the ones of cultural significance, I think. This is going to be what appears to be, or what could be, a slave market, and they could be selling slaves. You see what appears to be this man bidding, somebody tearing his clothes. I could be completely wrong about the painting. I'm just, picking things up off the internet. He painted royalty. He was very well known during that time period for his paintings. Wish we had more of the harems. She talked about one where there's a girl with an elongated back. So she's really into these paintings from that guy, from Dominic Ings, and she claims to think that Jeffrey was only talking about paintings. I really disagree with that. We want to come back here.
Interest, like something that was cultural.
So he's used.
So I have issue believing that, but okay. Now we're going to jump to 1201.
Understand is, how did he manage to do that at such a massive scale? How did he manage to convince so many women to be part of that world for so long?
I don't think most of them, even to this day, understand that they were part of a harem, unless, like, I think after this interview they will understand.
I find that really interesting, and I agree with that. Lori Ann, I think she's from New York, I'm not sure, or from the United States, I believe, but I'm not positive. Most of these girls did not even have any idea they were part of a harem. And I find that really important and really significant, because I do believe all of them were groomed and manipulated into being part of this thing. And he has the money, he has the power to make it possible. And I think it's really sad that they really had no idea that they were basically just sexual slaves to him and his idea and his theories and the way he wanted to practice eugenics and stuff. And we're going to get into that and talk about that in a minute. Cindy said the level of manipulation is next level. Think of how other cultures started. Money, clout, elite circles was all very convincing. I agree with that. Southern Cats, good to see you. Said when they were together and that's all he talked about, it's a big red flag. It absolutely is. But why was she different? Why did he talk to her about things like this? We're going to hear from a journal of one of the victims, and she was in no way, shape, or form treated anything like this girl was. Did he see her as intelligent? Why is she different? And we're also going to talk about another girlfriend that he had.
A little bit better about what happened to them. They're usually the women don't willingly walk in. They're brought in by someone. Sometimes they're brought in by, the women that are already in the harem, oftentimes, or merchant.
So think about Ghislaine bringing in young girls. I know when we hear about the girls that testified about Florida, they said they had friends from school that would go and give this man massages, and they could make money giving him massages. That's girls bringing you into the harem, but you don't even know that that's what's going on.
Slave traders, like 300-400 years ago, when this existed,
I like art.
A lot of times there were merchants that would go into these slave markets and purchase young women, and you can see it in Dominic Ong's paintings.
And we looked at a few of those, but I didn't find a whole lot on it.
And a lot of times they were actually trafficked out of Europe. They did have a preference for lighter skin, like females, because they wanted to lighten the population. And they were playing eugenics with the way the Sultan would have children with hundreds of women. Some of them actually had children with hundreds of women, but they were not all wives.
this is really, again, important. We hear about the baby farms, the rumors of baby farms with Jeffrey Epstein. He had hundreds of women and hundreds of girls. And yes, he used them, and they were, I think, they were drugged and RAPED at these elite parties, that what I like to call the boys' club of debauchery, which is what our next episode is going to be about. But at the same time, especially after we hear the victim's journal, I think you will agree that Jeffrey Epstein was trying to play eugenics. He was trying to create a population of his offspring that were perfect, that had blonde hair and blue eyes, which relates to World War II and that person over in Germany who did all those horrific things. And we're going to hear about another way he relates to him as well. It's all very interesting. And why is Jeffrey Epstein trying to have babies with hundreds of women, to have hundreds of children that are his biologically? Now, keep in mind, we don't ever hear of Jeffrey Epstein having a baby except in one email we're going to talk about. There is no record of Jeffrey Epstein ever having a baby. But I think out there is a lot of Jeffrey Epstein's children that he had with all these women who had no idea what they were being used for.
Of the Sultan. So with me, from the beginning, he groomed me to have a baby with him, which I haven't really disclosed to too many people other than like my attorneys, and the government knows this. I don't think I've ever publicly made a statement. I feel that with the release.
So from the beginning, she was groomed to have a baby with him. How many other people were groomed to specifically have a baby with him from the beginning? We don't hear that much. We hear about the abuse and the girls being used at the parties, but not specifically being groomed to have a baby with somebody. And she talks about how he had a nickname for her and things were different with her. He wanted her to be one of his wives. Is it different for the ones that he wants to be wives? Why are there some wives and some just concubines, young girls that are not even of legal age to consent, that he uses for these things as well? Hey, Bellis, good to see you. I saw that. I've heard that, Hannah. The island boys are allegedly his as well. Epstein wanting this supremacist crap is rich considering he was Jewish. What the fuck? Oh, there's there's a lot of things that you're probably going to find rich about this episode. Abellis, it's good to see you.
Most likely true. He wanted probably a couple hundred children. I don't know. I never saw or witnessed the birth of a baby, or he never even mentioned there were any children. But I do not doubt that they may exist, that there may be some offspring of his.
There may be some offspring of his. We're going to go to an email. Let me pull it up. So we don't know. There's no birth record of Jeffrey Epstein ever having a child. But there is an email. If I can find it real quick. Have to hold on just a minute. Where is it? Oh, that's not even the right episode. I think it is. Yeah, it is. No, it's not. All right, we're going to go back to this. There are emails between him and a woman from France that talk about a baby. She's congratulating him on the birth of a baby boy. Which, again, what is different about that baby boy as opposed to the other baby boys he was allegedly forcing the victims to have? Why is that one different? Is it because one of the wives, quote unquote, gave birth to the baby? Don't know. We'll see it when we talk about the other girlfriend.
Can you tell me more? And thank you for opening up about it. How did he approach you about having his baby? What was the reason he gave you? How did he try to convince you? What was that discussion like?
So he just basically told me if I ever had his baby, I would become one of his wives. That was probably like the third time I saw him. He gave me books to study about the harem. Give me several books.
So if I have your baby, I'm going to be taken care of for the rest of my life. Okay. And he gave you several books to study about the harem. Again, I ask, why is it that you think that this is just an ideology for paintings? Even your statement right there, he wants me to have a baby. If I have a baby, I'll be taken care of for the rest of my life. And you want me to study about harems. Again, it's hard for me to believe that you did not think that you were going to be part of this harem, and for whatever reason, didn't. And with that, we'll jump over here. Now, I think that he was being accurate and correct when he said things like that. And the reason is because we have a girlfriend of his that it seems he made the same deal with and actually made good on his promise. So this is going to be sidebar with Jesse Weber. This is also going to have the email we were just talking about in it. I'm going to copy their link, and I'm going to show you an example of a girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein's who it appears got everything when he allegedly died. I say allegedly because I believe he's still alive. Again, I just have to keep asking, what makes these girls different than these victims that he tortured, these young children? And we're going to go into that. That's going to be a hard part of this live stream to listen to. So this is my first timestamp. There's not a whole lot for this video.
I want to talk about one woman in particular. This woman has quietly emerged, not as a victim, not as an accomplice, but as something different. According to the New York Times, she was the last known confidant of Jeffrey Epstein, the woman that he apparently called just hours before he was found dead in his jail cell. And that woman, according to the records, is Rina Oh. Now,
I think that if Rina had not left him, if Rina had stayed with him, then Rina would have gotten the same deal that Rina Oh got. Hey, Kim, good to see you. You think he is as well? Yep, I really do. And we're going to hear how Rina does.
Why does that name matter? Because buried in those same files is a seemingly secret financial document signed by Epstein just 2 days before he died. And this document appears to place her at the center of his final financial plans, outlines an extraordinary bequest. More than $100 million was set to go to her. And also his private islands, his Manhattan mansion, a 33-carat diamond ring described in Epstein's own handwriting as given in contemplation of marriage. So who is she?
So is this a girl that got the same deal? Did she give him a baby? And why her? Why her? The BBC has an article today that he was trying to buy a palace in Marrakesh, Morocco from 2011 to the day before he got arrested. He wouldn't have been extradited from Morocco. That's interesting, Abellis. Thank you for sharing that information. I had no idea. That's really interesting.
Chuliak. Well, the Times reports that Chuliak is a Belarusian immigrant, a dentist, a woman who remained close to Epstein during his final days in custody. This is, by the way, when much of the world had turned away. She's almost invisible in the official record because everybody talks about Ghislaine Maxwell. But when you read these financial documents, she is central to his life, central to the future that Epstein appeared to be planning. And the questions now surrounding her, the mystery only deepens because also buried in those files are details that are even more unsettling. An email from Sarah Ferguson, the former.
So this is from Sarah Ferguson, the former Duchess of York, I do believe. And it says, it was from Wednesday, September 21st, 2011 at 6:18. And it reads, don't know if you're still on this BBM, but heard from the Duke that you had a baby boy. Even though you never kept in touch, I still am here with love, friendship, and congratulations on your baby boy, Sarah XX. Now, again, Jeffrey Epstein has no documented children, but he left her everything, $100 million, a diamond ring, everything. Why? Is it because she gave him a baby? Is it because she's continuing at all of the sick, twisted things that he was doing? I mean, it's real interesting that this document is signed the day before they find him deceased in a jail cell, allegedly. Okay, thank you, Abellis. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I know I'm mispronouncing it, but it's okay. No, it's tied up in probate court, and the victims got a lot of the money, but there's still 130 million, I think, in probate court down in Puerto Rico or somewhere like that she could get, but it looks like she's not getting shit.
This is supposed to be the Department of Justice. The only way they're going to get justice is to have answers, and this woman could have a lot of those answers. So I'm with you. Why not sit her down and at least see what she has to say, do a recorded interview?
And by the way,
now this is going to be just in the nick of time, who has a YouTube channel. She also was in dental school. That's where allegedly the dental chair could come from in Jeffrey Epstein's studio. So I really feel like he's talking to girls that have college degrees that he can put through college and groom and create this master race. Some of the, just like in a harem, some of the women have more power than the others. Could it be, if we're allegedly speculating, that some of these children that he's trying to possibly repopulate the earth with are going to be, some of them were picked because of looks. Some of them were picked because their mothers were very intelligent. He sees these women that have the possibility to do great things and that seem to be extremely intelligent. So he wants to procreate with those women, and he knows he can't groom them, and he feels a little bit insecure around them. So he pays for their college to groom them and then tries to get them to have a baby with him. So he has the baby. Why does he want all these babies? It's fucking weird, man.
I know they're still going through the documents. I don't know if there's something to suggest maybe there was some sort of interview with her or some sort of conversation. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe stand corrected. I don't know. But I do want to go through what we seem to know from these financial documents that put Shuliak at the center of the story. So you have this foundational document. It's the Jeffrey Epstein's last will and testament, but I think that funnels the money into the trust. But what I really want to get to is the 1953 trust. So it's the one that names Shuliak. And you have this particular section, and it reads, to Corinna Shuliak, if she survives me,
thank you so much.
$50 million.
I really appreciate it.
In addition, the trustees are directed to purchase an annuity for the benefit of Corinna Shuliak in the amount of $50 million. So that is the headline, $100 million dedicated to her. And then you have this next section, 2.3b, really breathtaking. It lists the specific properties for her. All of my interests, Zorro Ranch, New Mexico, the island known as Little St. James, the island known as Great St. James, 22 Avenue Foch, Paris, 358 El Brillo Way, Palm Beach, 9 East 71st Street, New York. You know, Justin, these are iconic properties, the islands, the townhouse, the ranch. This has all been under a part of an investigation. Leaving it to her, thoughts?
And I'm going to stop it right there. But what he left to Ghislaine was $10 million. Well, he left this girl that was on nobody's radar, that was going to dental school, that doesn't seem to have been a part in the open of Jeffrey's debauchery, I'll say. She doesn't play as much of an open role in it. So why was she left $100 million and every property and a diamond ring in for them to get married, so they could get married or on thoughts of being married if the wedding wasn't consummated? He said she had been around him for years, since like 2009. I wonder how many babies she did give him, because she had to give him something for him to leave her everything, or be continuing the facade, or be the person that he's went to when he went out. I think it was sold to pay the victims, but I'm not positive. I'll see what I can find on it real quick. All right, now we're going to go back to this interview, since we do have verification that at least one girl seems to have gotten that deal. 1505 is my next timestamp. We're at 1524. Okay, 1656. Hey there. Okay.
Why he wanted children with many women?
Do you know why he wanted children with many women?
Was it his belief, like a eugenics concept, where he thought his gene was above others, or was it other reasons?
He just was obsessed with the Ottoman Empire in Turkey. He saw himself as this grandiose, like Sultan, king-like person, character.
I mean, and again, I keep going back to you knew that he saw himself as this grandiose Ottoman Sultan type person, yet you still think it was just about paintings. So it says Stephen Deckoff owns the island formerly known as Little St. James and Great St. James, which he purchased from Jeffrey Epstein's estate in a transaction reported at approximately $60 million in May of 2023. And he plans to develop the properties into a luxury resort. To answer your question, my dear.
That's what he wanted. Like, he talked about it every day. You know, I don't know if it's so much as having, you know, like spreading his genes. Maybe that came with the territory, but it was more of a closer to the ownership of having so many women that he owned. Like that.
Do you think it was because he owned the women? Hey, Lala, good to see you. Or do you think it's because he wanted to feel like he owned the women, or it was some kind of fucked up eugenics thing? Or do you think it was both? Content pointed out, which was in the episode, I kind of skipped through my timestamps. So this Karina woman was married to Elon Musk's brother's ex-girlfriend to remain in the country. And yes, she was. And they also talked about how people at that time period were getting married to people from out of the country to get them a green card, basically. You are right. And they do talk about that. Thank you for reminding me. Just curious, how can the government go against a will? Wouldn't that go against a legal document? You would think so, but when you have victims and they're paying back victims, I think it's different. Yes, the trust was dissolved to satisfy the victims' comprehension fund. Epstein financed her dental school at Columbia. He paid the dean $100,000 to let her in with no undergraduate. Wow. Oh yeah, there's a lot that's illegal in these episodes. All right, our next one is going to talk about why do you think he's going to ask her, why do you think it was underage girls? Why do you think he talked to underage girls? They all had to be underage.
Why underage girls?
I think the underage girl issue is because he was very insecure and he was never able to have a normal relationship. And he most likely was traumatized from the time he was a teenager. He was not liked by girls at all. Like, he disclosed this. And I can't really give an answer about why underage girls. Psychologically, I think it's easier to manipulate younger girls than it is to manipulate like girls that are older. They're like, you know, after they graduate college. Once you reach your mid-20s, a lot of the women that I know or knew back then, even the ones I meet today, they would not tolerate, you know, being in a situation where they wouldn't even allow themselves to get abused by someone like Jeffrey Epstein.
So I do agree with that. I think it was to manipulate them. And I also think it was to garner money, power, and respect, because he would get these underage girls and these children and have them abused at these parties so that he would have blackmail on politicians and things like that, just like Diddy did, in my opinion. Now we're going to talk about the journals. I have timestamp 2624, but we're about to get into some pretty graphic details from another video.
To go back to you know, him asking you to have a baby. Have you spoken to other girls that were also asked to have a baby? And so, that would be the first question. And then I want to go through the journal that was in the Epstein files. There was a girl that talked.
So now we're going to jump over to the journal that was in the Epstein files, and I'm going to give you a trigger warning because this is going to be very, very hard to hear. This young lady who wrote this journal that is in the Epstein files was very intelligent, especially for her age, and it's a heartbreaking story of what happened to her. This girl's account in these journals is very, very different than what we've seen from Rina so far. And it makes me, this is going to make me have another question. Are we having, my next question would be, are we picking girls that are intelligent, that are going to college seeking degrees to have babies to recreate the population, basically play eugenics with? And then these girls, these underage girls that were used to have babies, are those babies being born into a world of trafficking? We've heard about one email where a pediatrician is being emailed, and the email says that with a newborn infant, they will suck harder if you give them a pacifier and if they hear their mother's voice. Why in the fuck would Jeffrey Epstein be emailing a pediatrician about how to make an infant suck harder? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, what? So that makes me question, were these babies being just born into trafficking? So this is going to be from the conspiracy files. Again, this is going to be really hard to listen to. It is an actual account of a victim and her trying to come to grips with what happened to her, to understand. And there's a lot that happened to her that we don't hear about, that I haven't heard about other than in these journals. So our first timestamp is going to be 1633.
This appears to be a sonogram photo, as you can see here in the attorney's sheet. So this redacted would be, I guess, the photo of a baby in a womb. It's unknown if that's this girl's child. I think that that's what's being alluded here, is that this is the victim's child, and their sonogram, because she writes here, I heard the heartbeat even when she put her hands over my ears. Aren't pictures enough for them? Torture. Should I ... deeply miss them? Have these all been murders? Does this make me a killer?
So when you hear that, you think that this girl, this underage girl, she's 16 at the time that she writes these journals, or we think she gets, there's birthday cards in the beginning of this journal that talk about a sweet 16. Is she being forced to have abortions? But yet they're having sonograms. She put her hands over my ears. I heard the heartbeat even when she put her hands over my ears. Who's putting her hands over this 16-year-old girl's ears? And why are we forcing her to have a sonogram? Why are we making sure the baby is healthy? Because that's what a sonogram is doing, right? Telling you the sex, making sure the baby's healthy. Why are we doing that if we are going to have abortions? Because, I mean, as a 16-year-old, how do you cope with that? It would feel like torture. She would be asking, should I miss them? And am I a murderer? I think that is completely logical for a 16-year-old to ask, especially going through shit like this. Unimaginable. Our next timestamp is going to be 34:32. I was writing these down as I was driving, even though I shouldn't have been. So it's a little messy.
It looks like of babies. She says here, and tears. Never imagined the blank and tears her future held. Poured out oceans of tears, pain. I've got myself a winner. I feel broken and exhausted. I am so tired.
I hadn't thought about that.
This sick and twisted game that
So he's having a trouble deciphering this. I'll show you why. I talked about this briefly in a different live stream, but like if she's going to write, I drove today, it would be written like this. Okay. Let me see if y'all can see it. Okay, so it's like written like this. See, IDROVE. I drove. TODAY. I drove today. And it's hard to read that. They have since decoded it. And if you guys would like to do an episode going over these journals, we can. But it's just, It's really triggering. It's really graphic and upsetting, especially when you know that these are underage girls that were being used as part of a harem. Not only for Jeffrey, but for other sick, twisted, depraved debauchery. The boys' club of debauchery.
ISCAVS, scavsing, such that such physical and emotional pain. So more references to babies. So were their babies taken away from this victim? Was she forced to get pregnant and have the babies of abusers? Was she being used as someone to produce those children? We don't know. Another page, victim of his own. Maybe she's born into it, which goes
I
along
saw
right
some of
into
his
what I'm
videos.
saying.
He's
Maybe
got
she's
some good
born
ones
into
too.
it, forced to give birth to a child that's just immediately brought into the world of trafficking and
Oh yeah, Lala.
pimping.
I appreciate you being here.
Never to be seen and heard. 1 minute I was a nobody, the next a stealth closer. High excitement videos of a child all night, a risky power.
These are clips from like magazines, and she wrote specifically or clipped high excitement videos of a child all night, a risky power play. This is an extremely intelligent 16-year-old. She knows what these babies are being used for. A risky power play is going to, I mean, again, the blackmail against these rich people abusing these children. She knew what she was there for. It also says he wanted young girls, a teen blonde beauty. She wanted her childhood back. No men she trusted, the painful moments. The truth betrayed her broken heart. The truth betrayed broke her heart. It's really sad.
Power play, sad luxury lifestyles of the rich and perverse. He wanted young girls, a teen blonde beauty. She wanted her childhood back. No men she trusted, the painful moments, the truth betrayed broke her heart. Congratulations, world's greatest graduate. Here's a note from Anonymous that she's got here. Only once is it possible for someone to find a woman with such unsurpassed beauty. Every moment in your presence is like experiencing heaven on earth.
And it appears to be written in an elderly person's cursive. I don't know many teenagers, even in the 2000s, that wrote like that. A lot of people talk about her beauty. That's going to be important here in a minute. 42, 46. Okay.
Sylvia Plath, a deep, deep sleep, loneliness until she cried, one little child, control, power, and young kids. Oh, this is the page that was decoded. It's not even this page. Let's go back. I think I am going to break. Why would they allow Mr. Leon is weight this.
It's hard for him to decipher this because at the time it had not been deciphered. Hey, Max, good to see you. So I know it's a little annoying to hear him decipher it, but what he says is really important. And content said, plus it's not clear, but the girl who kept this journal mentions her own mother knowing Epstein and knowing what was going on, aka being born in it. It absolutely does. It mentions that she was a ballerina, that she tried to run away and her mom was pissed, and that her mom would take her to these appointments and to meet with him and all of the sick, twisted depravity. Again, though, a girl that's been a ballerina her whole life, that is making it appears making good grades. I mean, just the straight and narrow. Why are these women being picked? Why are these women having children?
Long? Why would they allow Mr. Leon to wait this long? Why would he bring a friend and make a video ? I am so broken. And
why would he bring a friend and make a video? So I mean, again, that's what they're doing to her. Hey Ava, good to see you. We don't know the girl who kept this journal, but it was given to the feds by her attorney. Yep.
PROs, and the procedure was so painful and blood all over the sheets.
So again, it's sounding like a at-home abortion type thing. But we've got all these sonogram pictures and we're hearing the heartbeat, and so it's weird.
I can't play this game anymore. I have to ask Ghislaine for help. If anyone can make it stop, it would be her. If anyone can make it stop, it would be her, question mark.
So this paints Ghislaine in a passionate light, like she's the den mother of these girls. Like, if I have to make it stop, if anybody can make it stop, it would be Ghislaine. Notice she doesn't talk about her own mother. If anybody can make it stop, it would be my mom. She doesn't say that. She says Ghislaine. Ghislaine? Really? Ghislaine Maxwell? I don't think so. Like, that's the person she's seeing as being the comforting mother type. That's how bad it was.
She was so scared because I got so sick and was burning up with fever. She put me
Hold on, I'll look.
In freezing cold shower. I can't do this. And then there.
So thinking about her getting sick with fever and burning up, it would make me think there was some type of infection. Again, thinking about an abortion, but we've got all these sonograms.
There you go. That makes more sense. A lot of cold showers, blood on their hands. No doctor talk to no doctor damage. Then over here she says, Mr. Rails, Mr. RAILS, and Mr. LEN, Mr. Len, or Leon maybe. But so do Slef, Ray, and Mr. Jacobson, Mr. Conway, Mr. Vradenberg, Mr. Vradenberg, and Bills. A lot, all of them who don't care if this happens. So once again, I thought this was the other page. So you're talking about a baby, and she's talking about being really sick and an extremely bloody procedure. But then a few pages down, this is what I just read you about, her thinking she's got Epstein's baby, and it's another picture of a baby. And then interestingly, we talked about that earlier, the names that she listed, AOL. Earlier, she listed the names of some of the old AOL, America Online executives. And as you can see here, she's referencing AOL again. And that's what it said. This company, back to the thing, this company doesn't protect kids. They use it to find us. They are everywhere. I cannot escape. And I think she's...
That's really important. Now, he thinks she thinks that he thinks that the girl is talking about AOL. I do not. I'm going to show you what I think they're talking about. I'm going to try to pull up a video on it. It was on YouTube. Hold on. I don't think so. So they're talking, she's talking about, you think you're safe, but you're not. They're everywhere. Again, he thinks she's talking about AOL. I do not, and this is why.
Well, this is a story trending nationwide right now. A Northern California school district is reassuring parents, and others are canceling school picture day all because of a rumor being circulated online. It linked the Epstein files and one of the nation's largest school photography companies.
Reporter Tim Johns from our sister station in the Bay Area explains the new Picture Day privacy debate.
LifeTouch, one of the most prominent school photography companies in the country, is facing district investigations and canceled school photo days.
So allegedly, LifeTouch photos, you know, I've got one here where my kids are supposed to have school pictures. The ones that take pictures of children at school is owned or tied in some way, shape, or form to Epstein. She talks about you can't escape them. They're everywhere. How would you, if you were into these type of things and you wanted to basically get a lineup of children across the country, what would be the quickest and easiest way to do that if you had a lot of money? Well, it would be to buy the people who are doing school photos or start a company that does school photos and send them out. And this is really important to me because it makes me question, is that how our children get trafficked? Is there was it Jeffrey or other people that are just flipping through this company that they own, all the pictures that they take of the children, because LifeTouch goes across the country, and are they selecting these children and saying, I want that one, and then having somebody go to the house? Because when you pay for the pictures and you order the pictures, sometimes you have to put your card information and your address in, and they've got the address of the child that they see the photo of that they want to go and get. So do they scope out the area and then abduct the child? Is this where trafficking is coming from? And is this what the girl is talking about in her diary? You can't escape them. They are everywhere. I don't think it was AOL. I think it was fucking LifeTouch. It's insane, isn't it? All of these things.
Talking about AOL there, because they said parental controls help safeguard your kids online. Stay alert. We live where you live. Fatal Attraction.
And, you know, I don't know, but that shit's weird to me.
To just little you, Jeans, you do not have a choice, you know, in his little plan.
Jeans, you do not have a choice in his little plan. Again, talking about eugenics and seeding the world with these children.
Dared to search for meaning, the anti-war plane. I understand how they feel, what they're going through, because I've gone through it too. And some pictures, some redacted images. I'll fight to the end. Without Martin Luther King, 2003 would look a lot like 1963. I want to make people's lives better and change the world. Then there's a card here to a dear granddaughter on your graduation day. Here's what looks to be a purple heart stamp. For graduation, I wanted to give you something I was absolutely sure you didn't have. And we don't know what that is. So it's another journal from this girl. We almost decoded everything in there. I'm going to leave that last little bit up to you guys to decode if you want to. But this.
So we're going to continue on because the next part is the last part of this video that I really want to talk to you guys about. This video in particular by Conspiracy Files, and it's the most damning important evidence of all. Miss Scorpio Rising, thank you so much for gifting 5 Speculation Station memberships. That was so very sweet and supportive of you, and I really appreciate that so much. Thank you. Thank you for the support. That is amazing. Those memberships went to Marcy, J-Lo, Dreams, Velvet, the X, 6, and Along for the Ride. If you guys were gifted from Miss Scorpio and you are aware you were gifted, please tell Miss Scorpio Rising thank you. Thank you, my love. And I will grab the Polar Express to pick our new members up and take it a little bit slower on this train tonight. And as we get ready for spring and say goodbye to winter. Thank you so much, Miss Scorpio. That was so sweet of you. If this is anywhere near true, it's no wonder we can't find missing children. I know, right? Thank you, Jenny. So what he's going to talk about next is going to be extremely graphic and triggering and hard to hear.
Same girl has a few more journals that I haven't seen people talking about. As you can see, here's some more of her coded handwriting. I don't know where these are from. Once again, there's no context, so we don't know the timeline or who this victim was or what all this really means. But according to the attorney's decoding, she wrote, "Close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. Don't speak, she doesn't talk. I can't stop shaking, and it's been a week. A decision was made, but I can't tell Jeffrey. These things happen. Why didn't I close my eyes fast enough? The doctor was different again. I think from Israel. He had kind eyes, but didn't speak directly to me. This was different. A shot, and those rod-like things had a hook and so much pain. Ghislaine said to push all the pain away. I don't understand. Blood and water all over the bed, and she was right. Like a feeling when your tummy hurts and you have to push. She said to close my eyes and put her hands over my eyes, but I didn't close them because of these tiny cries."
This is interesting to me. She talks about blood being all over the bed. I don't understand why there's a lot of blood talked about during what seems to be a childbirth, because she talks about these tiny cries. There was a different doctor this time. That's suggesting that this has happened multiple times, and we see the multiple sonograms. So how many babies or abortions did this girl have? Why did she go through this? Why did she have to do that? The hook thing doesn't necessarily mean an abortion. When I had my first child that I got pregnant with at 18 and was giving birth at 19, I wanted to give birth to her naturally, but my hips were not spread far enough apart. So they had to go in and basically break my water, and they use this thing that's like a hook to do it. And to me, that's why I think she talks about there being water and a hook, but I don't understand the blood. Oh, woman of the hills, good to see you. Shouldn't there be dozens of women right now going after child support? DNA will tell. Well, not if these babies, I mean, there's no documentation of these babies. I think some were used for trafficking, and some were used for there's like a place or something where we've got a baby farm, I think. Hey, Abraham, right? What the fuck? If grandma sends a birthday card to her while she's away, she must think her granddaughter's away at school or something, but really she's trafficked, writing in journals that look like ransom notes. Yep. It's sad, isn't it? It could be, but she talks about tiny cries.
I'm so lost. I saw between her fingers this tiny head and body in the doctor's hands. It reached its tiny arm up and had a tiny foot. I closed my eyes and no more. And there's another page that she wrote here. No more cries. I don't understand. Just say these things happen. But he doesn't believe that. They yelled and screamed, and he said it will be the same in a couple of months. And she said she was fed up with it all. I don't understand what is going on, and no one will tell me. I can't go to school like this. I can't stop shaking. Why won't anyone make it stop? I know Ghislaine is trying, but nothing changes. Why didn't I close my eyes? Oh my God, that's horrible, man.
This is a 16-year-old ballerina striving to do good in life that's being trafficked and had either a shit ton of abortions or a shit ton of children that were immediately taken away. And she's seeing Ghislaine as the person who is like the mother figure who can help her, who can make it stop. But Ghislaine is not that person.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Really?
Oh God, that's really this horrific stuff in these. Thinking about that.
Abella, that's an interesting thought. Abella said, my thought, if you're a multi-billionaire, what do? You use the world like a Monopoly game. You also think about the future, your legacy, and want your family to rule everyone. Major corruption. I think that is a big part of what's going on here. I also think that's why this debauchery happens. I think it all starts with when you have the money to do whatever you want to do. And at any time, when do you get bored with that? And when you get bored with that, what do you turn to? Illegal things? And how far are you going to go? Like, again, I referenced eating human meat. Like at no point while I'm at a party is somebody going to offer me jerky that's allegedly human flesh, and I'm just going to be like, okay, sounds good to me. We're going to talk more about that type of stuff in the Boys Club of Debauchery episode.
There's more notes here that are decoded. In the hall, Ghislaine said she was beautiful. She was, not is. She was a beautiful girl. I heard her. Where is she? Why did she stop whimpering? She was born. I heard the tiny cries. I can't do this anymore.
So, I mean, again, a baby's born and they take her away immediately, and she hears her crying, but then they're gone. And Ghislaine is talking about she's beautiful, and we hear about eugenics and genes, and I think these children are alive. Oh, Lord. I hope not, Abraham. They did, and at such a young age. And her mother knew. How do you put your child through that? I mean, I'd rather be poor as fuck, homeless, before, like, what?
So I don't know I think she's referencing her baby either being murdered or stolen from her. But she's writing that she saw the baby. She saw it reach for her. She heard it whimpering and crying. It was taken out of the room. It was an extremely bloody event. And then I guess the baby went AWOL. And she's got a poem here, stillborn, with the still crossed out. It's a sad diagnosis. They grew their toes and fingers well enough. If they missed out on walking about like people, it wasn't for any lack of mother love. I cannot understand what happened to them. They are proper in shape and number in every part. They sit so nicely. They smile and smile and smile and smile at me, and still the lungs won't fill and the heart won't start. It would be better if they were alive, and that's what they were, but they are dead, and their mother near dead with distraction, and they stupidly stare and do not speak of her. So bizarre. So many. And that's, she was born. She was born. I heard the tiny cries. I cannot do this anymore. Here's another page. As you can see, this is the original page, and then the decoded page reads, he was right a couple of months and 2 pink lines with a hold on being with others until after it was positive. I want to die. Why didn't she protect me? As long as I am wearing what you want.
Talking away. That is crazy about Bill Gates, Abellis. He is a fucking asshole, but I'm with Cindy. They all need to rot. And Abraham said, I meant that's what the people at the party were saying. Probably so. I don't know if you caught that, but he said 2 positive lines, which is going to be a pregnancy test. And she said that there was a hold put on her being with anybody else until she got the 2 pregnancy lines. So she's with Jeffrey, and you're going to hear about that. She's sleeping with Jeffrey and Ghislaine. He's making her not sleep with other people until she's pregnant. After she's pregnant, it doesn't matter because she can't get pregnant again. So that would tell me that they want her pregnant and they want to make sure it's Jeffrey's. Well, why would they go through that unless they were trying to make sure that she gave birth to Jeffrey's baby? And why do they need these 16-year-olds to give birth? Does it go back to her genes, to her beauty, to her blonde hair, her blue eyes? I think that there is a lot of children out there that are Jeffrey Epstein's, and I want to know where the hell they're all at. And I also think there's a lot of children out there that were born into trafficking at the hands of these monsters.
There is no respect for me as a human. I am nothing but your property and incubator. You only trust me when I am under your complete control. I will never trust another man ever. I am the only one who provides and sacrifices everything. I give and give out of terror, and you take all of me. You need me to continue keeping us all connected. And then there's another clipping, as you can see there. Unlike
it said, I was born a slave. She cut out the words, I was born a slave. So was she born into trafficking and just had a rich mother, or a family that had the ability to bring her up in a way as like, oh, you're going to be a ballerina and you're going to do good in school and you're going to be this beautiful bombshell. And when you're old enough, you're going to be trafficked. Like, is that going on? And if so, have this person's parents been held accountable? Like, questions that need answers.
Like drugs, a child's body can be sold over and over. This is not surprising.
I'm going to back that up. This is a 16-year-old who said this.
Keeping us all connected. And then there's another clipping, as you can see there. Unlike drugs, a child's body can be sold over and over.
The 16-year-old has figured out what's going on. Unlike drugs, a human, a child, a baby, an infant, a woman can be sold, a man can be sold over and over and over again. And that's what happens.
This is not surprising, but there is no such thing as a child prostitute. They are children and cannot consent. They are missing the biggest in my own backyard and so many more, like Mar-a-Lago, where I see Mr. Joe and Mrs. Ann. So you got another reference there to Trump. The slaves in Lake Placid were invisible. People were playing golf at the retirement community, and right behind them was a slave camp.
That's interesting to me. Is that some type of hidden facility? I think Lake Placid is where the alligator was, but I'm not sure. Is that actual place? People playing golf at a retirement community, and right behind that is a slave camp where they're trafficking women. Maybe all of his kids will eventually do ancestry tests. That's probably the only way we'd find out. Yeah, Kim, if they're alive, if they're not being trafficked, which I don't think he would do that to his children. I think he wanted to repopulate the earth. I don't want to get too conspiratorial here, but I think that there's underground bunkers and that they plan on doing something to the earth and having a select number of people that repopulate the earth. And what I want to do is an episode with Mr. Speculating about the lifeboats that he was a part of. Mr. Speculating gets more into the conspiratorial things and like the places on the moon and things like that. I like to talk to him about that. We did one episode together, and we might do another one on this and the lifeboats and the possibility of the eugenics test and actually basically redoing what Hitler did in today's world.
Unlike drugs, a woman's body can be sold over and over, but it says here a child's body. Our finance department deals with all the paperwork. Unfortunately, the finance department is also family. Who knew I was born a slave? Life in a parallel universe.
So the finance department, is that how she was born into this? Repopulate. I don't think we'd gone extinct. Yeah, like if they did some type of world war to where we did, do they want to repopulate and control the population and use eugenics to create some type of master race? I don't know. I also thought the girl's mother was a former trafficked woman who gave birth to her and dumped her on Epstein. Maybe. Lake Placid is a town in Florida. So is there, I wonder if there's a retirement community, I'll have to look into it, that's close to that and what could be behind that area. Interesting.
And another decoded document, please release me from this torture and hell. The headline below is not a metaphor. This story is about slaves, not people living like slaves, working hard for lousy pay, not people 200 years ago. It's about 27 million people worldwide who are bought and sold, held captive, brutalized, exploited for profit. It's about 21st century slaves. And that's what.
At 16, having been born into this, she knew what was happening to her. But what do you do as a 16-year-old with your family involved? And I mean, going up against Epstein, you can't go to the cops. The Epstein would pay them off. You can't run. What do you do? Poor baby.
Where she wrote down at the bottom, please release me from this torture and hell. More pages of code you can see here. She wrote this out and drew it. Controlled all by Jeffrey all the time. Get away from it all. And go to New Mexico? What in the hell? This makes no sense. What about school? Behind the scenes. He is now controlling everything when it used to be Ghislaine who some days acts like she hates me. Secrets of all of them. I am tired of keeping this secret. I know people are wondering, but I can't tell. I am exhausted. Broken promises. I don't understand why she is treating me on some days like I'm the enemy, but But then we lay in bed together and she is how she used to be, warm. He makes her feel my tummy and it's so sad and confusing. Superior gene pool? Why me?
So they lay in bed together and Jeffrey makes Ghislaine feel this child's tummy, and then it talks about a superior gene pool. That would tell me that she's pregnant. And again, going back to the pregnancy test reference, and she's not allowed to have relations with anybody else other than Jeffrey until she is indeed positively pregnant. I really think that they're trying to create this superior gene pool, and I think he told her that. I believe that too. I've got family that lives in the villages. You're absolutely right about that. Sparkling up. Oh, yay! I'm so happy. Yay, Cindy, you'll have to show me what it is. I'm getting I just got the resin and the wood finish for the stuff that I'm sending out too. So I got to get with you guys. I'm going to email y'all tomorrow about the stuff that y'all won and see what colors you want for the resin and get that stuff too. That's awesome. I'm so glad. Cindy, you're going to love it. Abraham's such a sweetheart. Julianne, good to see you.
It makes no sense. Why my hair color and eye color? That feels very Nazi-like, but in...
Why my hair color and eye color feels very Nazi-like. Superior gene pool.
Thinking about these stupid, insane theories he has, I guess, in his mind, it makes sense. The piano and music comments are made to convince me this is right and will create perfect offspring, he calls them.
I mean, so this tells me that he's making a baby factory.
I don't think it works that way, and it's making me hate playing altogether. Piano or viola, I'm starting to resent them both. I miss the person I was before I was made into what feels as a human incubator. So here's more of that sheet. Obviously, there's so much with babies. I mean, there's clearly something going on here that we have never heard of. Because remember, according to all accounts and all authorities and records, Epstein has no kids. There's no confirmed record of Jeffrey Epstein having a child or any offspring. Pretty weird. So,
and we got about 5 more minutes of this to listen to, but when we go back to the other Mario Nawfal interview, you're going to hear about how, like, one day she was double booked and she came when a different girl was there and was supposed to be there. So it was like he didn't want the girls to know about each other. So how many girls did he have pregnant at one time? Was there hundreds of girls that were pregnant at the same time? And this girl would be brought on some nights, and then the next night, a different girl who was pregnant, a different girl who was pregnant, and a different girl who was pregnant. And these babies are being taken. And if so, who's taking care of the babies once they're taken? Where are all these children at? Or young, I don't know how old they would be if this was like 2003. And why have we never heard about this? Orange Rose, good to see you, love. It's very disturbing. I'd like to do an episode just on the victims' journals, but we're getting a good part of it, the most important part in this episode.
Oh, here's some more code she wrote and translated. It says, my friend blank realized much of everything and came to get me out of Mary's. She made me leave all things of value on the bed. She put all my belongings in trash bags. I have maybe avoided New Mexico. I've been staying with friends, but never more than 2 or 3 nights because my mother is on the warpath. Blank have been so great, but blank saw me changing and knows about the baby. He said he promises to help me and we will figure out what to do. Then up top, there's this.
So at this point, it sounds like she's run away with a boyfriend who's trying to help her, who sees what's going on. Could you imagine being a fucking 16-year-old boy and this girl that you like, that you've got a crush on, that you're talking to, just lays all this out, and she pulls up her shirt and she's fucking pregnant. Like, I would want to get her the fuck out of there too. And at the age of 16, you're too young to really do much, so you run away. But you can never hide from these people. Kim said none of these people paid attention in science class because blonde hair and blue eyes are recessive genes. Imagine that. I meant party pooper. Autocorrect is pissing me off. It pisses me off. I'm always mistyping. When I go into a chat, I think people think I'm drunk. So up to this point, we know that it sounds like she's run away.
I couldn't stay under the same roof. Your life will never be the same. It's a whole new life. And here to make things a little easier is the affordable New Mexico. She crossed that out and wrote the word Mexico. A roomy, versatile minivan with front-wheel drive and hefty V6 power. So prepare yourself, ready or not, life will never be the same. So it seems like she was planning on fleeing to Mexico with the baby. Then you got a page that she has colored or painted here completely red. It looks like with.
This is the pain and torment this child was going through. The next page is just completely red, as if covered in blood. I don't even know what to say. What do you say? How does anybody try to help her make it stop? Orange Rose, thank you so much for the super sticker. That was super sweet and super amazing of you.
Amazing!
And I really, really appreciate that support. Thank you so much, Orange Rose. It's good to see you, my dear. Cindy said, this is so twisted and only the tip of an iceberg. Facts.
Boom, 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 bam.
Look, Abraham's sending everybody the packages. Orange, I hope you got your package. I'm so excited for y'all. That's awesome.
The marker. Here's more of that marker splatter on the page. More writing that she wrote. More about children and sonograms and everything. She wrote, my heart belonged to her. She was so very beautiful. She was perfect. I can't bring myself to write what happened. I am beyond broken. I only got 10 to 15 minutes to hold and feed her before they took her. She is mine. I want her back. Distraught.
So here, it appears that she had the baby and they took her. How did we go from running away to try to escape all this and go to Mexico to they took her, I want her back, only got 10 to 15 minutes to feed her? That's definitely a baby being born. And again, going back to the make sure she's pregnant before she has relations with anybody else from Jeffrey Epstein, I really think that this motherfucker was creating a superior gene pool.
She was so very beautiful. My heart belonged to her. She is gone and she won't be coming back, with another picture of a baby. And this poem, Child. Your clear eye is the one absolutely beautiful thing. I want to fill it with color and ducks, the zoo of the new, whose names you meditate. April snowdrop, Indian pipe, little, stalk without wrinkle, pool in which images should be grand and classical, not this troublous wringing of hands, this dark ceiling without a star. More, as you can see on this page, concerned every day, her passion is dead. Farewell to a princess and to an angel, inhuman prophet left behind. My heart is gone. She wrote, help me, please, can't anyone find me? Barely survived all those procedures. My heart is gone.
This girl was so intelligent and suffering so much. Oh, I know it was an awesome one though. I need to see if I can see what it was. I appreciate it. I know it was a great super sticker. I always enjoy looking at them. I like the lemon. It's so cute. It looks like he opens into an orange. Thank you, Orange Rose. I hate to say this, but if they were eating babies, could this be where they came from? Don't hate me. No, it's a valid question. I think they were eating babies. They talk about certain pictures with people eating fetuses, but I think this girl was curated and sleeping with Jeffrey Epstein specifically to create a gene pool. I think there were girls that were impregnated by probably other people than Jeffrey Epstein at these parties and gave birth to these babies to be eaten or whatever. And I'm sorry, I know that's hard to hear and very triggering, but I think these were created for a gene pool. She even talks about it in these journals.
And more code here. Steals the baby that brought her such joy. I love her so much. And she wrote, April 22nd, I had no choice. I wasn't ready,
Really,
and
Lola?
she wasn't ready. My mother had found me, and it was urgent. After so many bonding moments with Jeffrey, Ghislaine, their baby inside me, with me in the middle, she wouldn't even look at me. We said nothing to one another, and I was so confused. When we arrived at Palm Beach, I was taken to a house close to Jeffrey's, I think called Ocean Boulevard or Saint, but it was close, and I was alone except for a new driver, not Mr. Juan, an elderly French lady whose pictures on the wall didn't have her. She had a thick accent and was kind. She said she had been born to deliver babies and had been doing so before I was born. Similar as the last one with shot and hook, but too much blood with so much water and unbearable pain. She put her hands inside of me and seemed worried. I didn't understand something about the baby facing wrong way and putting pressure on a placenta. things would have to be different. She said I had to be brave and strong and listen to her directions so she could help safely get the baby out. I was terrified seeing so much blood on the bed and floor and started to panic. She had me flip over to my hands and knees and had me push and push. It was so excruciating. I could feel everything as she tried to guide the baby out, but I was so tired. I felt I was dying, but suddenly she had caught a beautiful baby girl who made more than a whimper but beautiful cries. She let me hold her and washed her and brought her back clean and perfect. She smelled so good and showed me how to feed her. But only after maybe 15 minutes, Mr. M came to take her. I was hysterical and begging for more time.
This is so horrible. And how many does this make? How many babies has she given birth to that have been stolen from her?
He said those horrible girls were in the car waiting, but I wouldn't let her go. The old woman promised me she would be safe, and I had to let go. 4 pounds, 10 ounces, 18, 5 inches long, with beautiful long fingers. I am dead inside. Life has no meaning. I don't want to be here.
So I think we get it. I'm so sorry for what that girl endured at the hands of these monsters, but I think that was for gene pools. I don't think that was for consumption, to put it nicely, but I do think there were some that were born into this just for consumption. Right. There's a lot of people that sounds nice. And again, this girl is seeing Ghislaine as somebody who's nice, and Ghislaine is not somebody who's nice, and we're going to learn more about that too. I think these people are just nice to her to try to comfort her because they see her going through this and they know what's about to happen, and they're trying to keep her from breaking. But you also hear about how the doctors don't say anything and that Ghislaine seems mad. I mean, this person is such a child that she thinks Ghislaine is mad at her for having the baby that she wanted so badly to make sure she was pregnant with. Yeah, that was a low birth weight. I was thinking about that too. It's an indication of a premature birth. I'm wondering if they're making her go into labor early so that she doesn't show as much for school or something. And she talks about blood with every single one. There were several babies born during the time of that writing, and I don't think that everyone would have a lot of blood like she describes. I cannot believe this is happening in this day and this age, the war between good and evil. Exactly. It's so sad. Okay, my next one is 3124. We're going to read an email that's going to go into the ranch. Hold on. No, we want 2654 to 30. I was about to skip a timestamp.
Okay. Wanted to have a baby with him. I did not want to have his baby, but I guess she's the only woman.
Hold on. Sorry, I went too far ahead. Here we go.
From her, that wasn't. It was a pretty heartbreaking journal entry to read. Not sure if you've seen that, but does that fit into?
Yeah, it was very heartbreaking.
To your understanding of what happened, is it possible that he had babies with other girls and then taking the baby from them? Was that part of the system?
Not the way he described it to me. When he wanted to have a baby with me, he wanted a child that we were going to raise together. Like he never talked about having the baby taken away. But I can't really answer that question with certainty because I didn't want to have this baby. There's a reason why I didn't engage in more with him, even though he wanted me to come over the house. And, you know, like I thought he was going to try to get me pregnant. I didn't want to have his baby. I did hear.
Why is it different for them? Because the 16-year-old didn't get a choice. She obviously does. She says, I don't want to have his baby and I'm not engaging in sex with him. She was of age. They met when she's going to college. So you would think that she's 18. Why did she get a choice and the 16-year-old didn't?
Hear from one other girl who mentioned that Ghislaine and Jeffrey had asked her to carry their baby, but that wasn't going to be her baby with Jeffrey. It was Ghislaine wanted to have a baby with Jeffrey. Like, she also wanted to have a baby with him. I did not want to have his baby, but I guess she's the only woman that I met that was part of this system who actually really wanted to have a child with him.
And do you think, you said it earlier, I think you hinted at it earlier, you think he's more likely than not to have babies that we don't know about?
I think so, because I've heard stories also from one girl who I knew very well. I still talk to her on occasion. She mentioned the baby farm, and she mentioned that he most likely did this in the New Mexico property. But we don't have proof. She only met Jeffrey once, and he extensively went on for about 3 hours talking about, like, he called it his cloning lab.
So what I noticed there again is how she talks about this girl who's talking about the Zorro Ranch in his cloning lab, which is in New Mexico or Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. And again, that's where the 16-year-old is referencing. Maybe I can stay away from New Mexico and just go to Mexico. And it's weird to me because she seems to immediately kind of take up for him, but we don't know this is true. She only met him once. Like, it seems to me like she's giving him an excuse. So I think she realizes that she was a victim. She does appear to be advocating for some victims, but she also appears to still be kind of caught in his web. There's a lot of things that she doesn't believe, and we're going to hear more about that too. Right. And I wonder if Ghislaine did give birth to children. I mean, because I'm sure there's time periods where she could have been pregnant. She could have had his child. I think that he was trying to just make everybody pregnant with his child. It didn't really matter as long as you had the right genes, recessive genes, as it were. But a cloning lab, basically.
I don't know. Like, he never told me anything about cloning. He was obsessed with genetics, eugenics, and science, and he talked about selective breeding a lot.
Y'all, I mean, again, I really think he was trying to create some type of master race.
And he was into Darwinism, the theory of evolution. He had manipulated me so much so that I just realized recently when I was going through my old sketchbooks that the original concept that I wanted to create for this public art sculpture back in the early 2000s, I had selected the theory of evolution based on Darwin as the subject for a sculpture that I proposed to the board of directors at this university.
And she goes on to talk about how it was a Catholic school. Now, a Catholic school is not going to be real happy about you talking about the theory of evolution with Darwinism, which states that basically we evolved over time from apes. And she talks about how he had her so groomed to where she thought that that would be the perfect idea because he talked about it a lot. Talked about it so much so with her that she thought at a Catholic school we should talk about the theory of evolution, which obviously they're not going to feel real good about or believe in. I found that interesting. And I think that he also, honestly, my personal speculation or opinion is that he had her so groomed that she still kind of takes up for him without even realizing it, as we just saw an example of. Bella said, these beyond wealthy people see the rest of us as theirs. Yep, they see us as cattle. We are not part of their end game. We need to rise up. There are a few thousand of these fools, but 8 billion of us. That's why they divide us. That is facts if I ever heard it.
Boom, 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 bam, bam.
I absolutely agree. And they do. They do. They believe that they are the master race. It's sick. So my next timestamp, I want to read this email that he's going to pull up on the screen. Now, this was sent to the FBI as a tip. I'll turn the comments off for a second so that y'all can read it with me. And it talks about Zorro Ranch. This was November 21st, 2019 from somebody named Edward. And it reads, "This is sensitive, so it will be the first and last email depending on your discretion. You can choose to take it or trash it, but this comes from a person who has been there and seen it all as a former staff at the Zorro. The Zorro is Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico ranch. The material below was taken from Jeffrey Epstein's home as my insurance in case of future litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. At the time, that was facts. Do you know somewhere in the hills outside the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey Epstein and Madam G? That Madam G really stuck out to me because that's what Ghislaine was. Ghislaine was the madam of the harem. Ghislaine was his right-hand person, his right-hand man, so to speak. And I think the girlfriend that got everything was also involved in this, another madame, if you will. The employment there, I find it interesting and probably very probable that they would call her Madam G. Even if he's like I'm thinking this person maybe was a chef or, did lawn care, something to that effect. Hey, Matthew, good to see you. Miss Katz, pleasure as always, new times. I don't know, sweetheart. It's good to see you. God has a special place in hell for these heathens. Yes, they do. My name's not Katz. Okay, so continuing. Okay, let me read that again. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. Did you know somewhere in the hills outside the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G? Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex. I find that very probable, and that's because we're going to read some emails that are going to kind of back up foreign girls being taken to Jeffrey's mansions in a few minutes. And it says, here are the video footage of Jeffrey Epstein. One of them is sex with a minor. One of them is threesomes. Another one is threesomes. Another one is an underage girl sex video. Another one is an underage girl Matthew Mellon video. Matthew Mellon is somebody that's in a position of power that has since been deceased. There's another link to a rape fantasy video and another link to a girl from the Bay Area self-deletion attempt confession to Madam G. Again, that Madam G just sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Please arrange for 1 Bitcoin by 6 p.m. Eastern today, Thursday, November 22nd, 2019 to the BCT wallet address, and they gave that. The USB will be sent anonymously to your attention by overnight courier upon the receipt of the funds. You have my assurance. This is exclusive, never shared before. No attorneys, no samples, no questions. Confirm as soon as possible. At the time, that would have been worth about $10,000. I believe this is legit. But it gives you information on what could have been going on at the ranch. And he's going to ask her about that. You get a 3306. Here's our next timestamp.
Obviously, you don't know if this is true or not, but I'd love to get your take on it. And also, from what you understand about Epstein, we don't know if these people died.
Oh,
if it's true, whether they died having sex with Epstein or other people like him.
I think it was other people like him. Yeah, I started coming on later at night. We're kind of seeing how it works out and seeing what happens. Yeah, it's kind of up in the air right now, but we're trying nighttime lives somewhat. It might go back to during the day. I'm not sure.
Does it sound believable to you? Do parts of it sound believable, others not so? Does maybe the strangulation during rough fetish sex, was that common with Epstein or people around him? And do you think it is possible that he had 2 girls buried at the Zorro Ranch from someone that spent time with him and spoken to other victims of his?
It is mortifying to even think about that. That's a possibility that they're, girls that may be buried in one of the properties. I never imagined that they were those types of people. Like I didn't see any of that stuff. Some of the other things that.
Why is it that she didn't see any of these things, but again, the young impressionable girls that they were trafficking did? What is so special about her, and why are some women kept from this information while others are thrown right into the crossfires? Oh, Baton Rouge Rose said, I'm actually off work, so I like this time. Do you? Okay, thank you for that. I really appreciate you letting me know because that's important. It kind of depends on you guys. Chinese food sounds good right now. I just made some the other night. It was so good.
That this man alleges, I do believe, like fetish. Ghislaine was into that. And I believe a lot of these things took place mainly in Florida and the island. I think between the two of them, she was the one who was into it more. And she was the one who most likely introduced it to Jeffrey Epstein. And I've read stories about Ghislaine and her childhood. And this is the way that she was actually raised by her own father.
So we're going to pause that right there and kind of look into what Ghislaine went through as a child by her father. I'm going to read parts of this article to kind of give you an idea of what they're talking about. So this is titled Explosive New Books Claims 10-year-old Ghislaine Maxwell told house guest of father's sadistic physical abuse. A 10-year-old Ghislaine Maxwell told house guests her father beat her with objects of her choosing. And Jeffrey Epstein, how did I know it was going to do this? Hold on. I got screenshots of it because I knew it would do that. Let me grab these screenshots and I'll read it to you this way. Oh my goodness, phone. Okay. We'll just keep this pulled up while I read this to you because I knew it would do that. I got screenshots. So a 10-year-old Ghislaine Maxwell told house guests that her father beat her with objects of her choosing, and Jeffrey Epstein referred to Prince Andrew as his useful idiot, according to an explosive upcoming book about the British royal family. Excerpts from the author Tina Brown's The Palace Papers Inside the House of Windsor, The Truth and the Turmoil, published Monday in the Daily Telegraph, tell how Epstein, a New York financier, used his relationship with the prince to open doors in international circles and further enrich himself. The book, on shelves in 2 weeks at the time this was written, explores how Maxwell's unorthodox upbringing as the privileged daughter of media mogul and fraudster Robert Maxwell helped shape her twisted relationship with the convicted sex predator. The child abuse claims in the Palace Papers are attributed to British newspaper heiress who knew Maxwell as a girl. Eleanor Barry noticed an odd-shaped hairbrush, a strap, a slipper, and other implements laid out on the child's dressing room table. Ghislaine rather proudly said, "This is what Daddy uses to beat me with." Oh, stop it. "But he always allows me to choose which one I want," reads the excerpt. In the sadistic offering of power to the powerless, asking her, in essence, to procure herself for her father, one can better understand how Ghislaine fell under the spell of a man like Epstein. Brown's book describes Maxwell, who started dating the multimillionaire when she was 30 after moving to New York, as madly in love with the late serial pedophile. The relationship quickly turned transactional. Epstein made the money and Ghislaine made the introductions. Unable to hold his sexual attention, she found a way to keep him at her side by recruiting Nubiles, N-U-B-I-L-E-S, she called them, to service his insatiable needs. And then it talks about how she was convicted. There's some weird shit going on between Ghislaine Maxwell and her father, and I do question if that shaped her as an adult and created the pathway for this sick, twisted shit that happened. Did it create the pathway for both of them to become infatuated with each other and have the capability to do these things and create the boys' club of debauchery, which again we're going to talk about tomorrow, hopefully, or Sunday, if depends on when I get the timestamps. But was it fire and gasoline when they got together? Yes, he met her as a woman when she was 30 and she had already moved to New York. But did her upbringing with her father and his sadistic abuse create the pathway for her and Jeffrey when she became an adult, for her to be able to do what she did. And we're going to hear more about that. Hey, Carol. Carol, good to see you. Just walked in the door. Oh, hello. Thank you for being here. Matthew said how a grown man can be attracted to any of that twisted trash. Say it again for those in the back.
Boom, 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 bam.
That shit's not normal. It's sick. Okay, so here's our next timestamp.
Convicted on child sex trafficking charges. I think she absolutely physically harmed young girls. And I don't know how old, you know, the youngest one would have been, but now I'm reading the emails and it's mortifying seeing, you know, like message exchanges between some of these redacted names in Jeffrey Epstein. And I saw a 9-year-old, I saw a 12-year-old, and this is beyond, you know, what I understood he did until recently, until they released the files.
You said that you're not surprised by the fetish, the rough sex, and you talked about how it's, you know, you've looked into how Ghislaine Maxwell was raised by her father, Robert Maxwell. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, I've read, not like in books, but I've done a bit of research about her life and growing up. He seemed like a very strange character, very similar to Jeffrey Epstein. And I read that she had to select her form or the tool of punishment if she did something wrong from the time that she was maybe like 3 years old. And so she grew up being raised this way by a father who claimed that she was the favorite child. And maybe that may be a form of attention for someone who grew up in a very dysfunctional family system.
So Abraham said her father was not abusive. There's no record or mention or allegation of any of that. She was very privileged. She was his favorite because she was the youngest. And I agree with that. But if this is true, that's some sadistic shit to tell a 3-year-old to pick their form of punishment. And there's what we read, a strap, a hairbrush or something. I don't know what was laid out. And they do talk about her being the favorite. The man, if you look into Robert Maxwell in particular, you will find that he believed some really weird things. He was not a very likable person. I don't think Ghislaine would ever admit that that happened. I think it would have to come from a friend. And while there might not be any proof of it, I think that it could have been possible. And I think that making a child pick their form of punishment between objects like that is a form of abuse. Now, you know, growing up being told to go get a switch from a bush, I find that different. And I don't know necessarily that it is. So while we don't have proof, I don't know how we would have proof, but I think if we hear, other than having testimony from the friend, if we look at what she was involved in and what she obviously had to know about, how do you get there? I mean, it's definitely got to start with some kind of childhood trauma. And hearing about her father and the way he was, and there was 9 children, and believe me, a lot of days I want to pull my hair out with just 4. I question things. She was very privileged, so they probably had help, and she was the favorite. So maybe it wasn't as bad, but I don't know. Who would ask to pick their form of punishment? He would make her pick her form of punishment. Please don't take this wrong, but if Epstein was trying to have a Hitler-type race, why would they choose this lady? Again, dominant versus recessive genes. Something's not added up. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm kind of on the fence about it, Orange. I find it interesting, and I do believe that she was there, but I think that I'm kind of there with you. But I want to be very careful and respectful. I need to look more into her story and what's been proven before I say definitively without a doubt, but I do notice how she tries to protect him in some of the things that she says. They were all really wealthy. He did not raise those kids. Nannies and butlers and maids raised those kids. But when it comes to punishment, would he be the one to punish them? And if nannies and butlers raise the kids and he's the only one punishing them, then do they see it as a form of attention and, oh, when I'm bad, I'll get daddy's attention because he doesn't give it to us otherwise. So therefore I need to be bad. It's interesting. I want to be very careful. I do believe some aspects there are photos of her, but she does seem really protective over him at the same time. But from what I understand, she advocates for victims too.
And then when I was in Florida, she showed me a closet full of these items. So I know they belong to her. Like they were clearly her things, her items.
So was it like rough fetish sex items, like a whip and things like that, or what type of items did you see?
Well, I didn't spend a lot of time standing in front of this closet. I was escorted upstairs. Jeffrey came. I was in the kitchen having a snack, and you know, with this big grin on his face, he said, "Ghislaine wants to show you something upstairs." And I thought, oh my God, like, is she going to do something to me? Like, is she one of the women, like the older women that are going to like surprise me and touch me? I didn't know what to expect. So I went upstairs, and it was my first time seeing the master bedroom. And it was my first time discovering that they actually slept together in the master bedroom.
So they're sleeping together in there. I feel like they probably could have had a baby. Content said Rina Oh is a definite plaintiff, part of the Epstein victims group and legitimately aligned. Thank you for that. I do believe that. I don't think that Mario Nawfal would have put her out if she wasn't a victim. But I wasn't there, so I cannot say if she's exaggerating anything or not. And like I said, she does seem to try to protect him a little bit in some of the things she says, but that could go back to her being groomed and not even realizing it. Southern Cat said her dad and her had a very odd relationship. If I find more on it, I would love to talk to you more about it. Abraham, it's in a book that was written and there's some articles about it, but I don't know if it's just that one person that said it and then it got put into different news articles, or if some of the siblings have talked about it as well. That's something I'll have to figure out. I'll have to figure out if it's just this one person that said it and it got put out several times, or if anybody else has backed it up. It's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer.
And he said she wants to show you something in her closet.
Really?
So when
I've
he
never
said
heard
that
that
was her closet, I can say absolutely those are her items. She pulled out one drawer and took out a whip and showed it to me. You know, it wasn't like a riding crop. It was like a soft whip. But I knew just based on that and him associating that with being Ghislaine's closet, that this was a closet full of items that are similar, or maybe there are other things that were in there. But I left. I went back to my room and the subject was never brought up again. And then I was scared of her. I stayed away from her. You know, like I didn't want to have any sort of relationship with this woman. She just creeped me out. She had a very creepy vibe. It was very dark energy. You know, like she just seemed like the type of person that would take pleasure in hurting others, whether it's physical, harm or psychological harm. But she just didn't seem like a very genuine, nice person.
So, I mean, hey, Solistic, we have our ice cream, my ice cream in here if you want to come get it. I think the other attributes of Ghislaine Maxwell make her that way. I don't think just because she had a closet full of whips and BDSM things that makes her a horrible person at all. I don't care to hear about what fetishes she has in her sexual life, but doesn't make you a horrible person at all. But I do think that she knew about everything that Jeffrey was doing to these young victims, and that makes her a horrible person. And the fact that she would be happy with these girls that were pregnant with his child, allegedly through the victim's journal, and then make them feel like she was mad at them after they gave birth. I think that maybe she at the very least had a very twisted, warped sense of relationship with not only her, but the other victims. now we're going to talk about something very personal and private about Jeffrey Epstein that I had also never heard before. Nope. Put it right here.
The producer sent me a question. It's a bit more graphic than other questions, but it's relevant to a previous interview I was doing. I've done 2 interviews with a forensic expert, Dr. G. And
to work.
So obviously you can choose to answer it or not, but the reason I'm asking it is in the autopsy, they talk about, the autopsy, they're meant to talk about every single detail in his body, and they describe his penis as a normal circumcised penis. But in the deposition, they read out to him that one of the girls claimed he had a deformed egg-shaped penis. Now, the reason that the forensic expert brought that up in our interview, he said, Mario, that's very bizarre. Some people are talking whether that's actually Epstein's body, whether he's still alive, or that was someone else.
So during the autopsy, as if there wasn't enough questions about if Epstein is really deceased and if that really was him in the autopsy, they say that the autopsy person, the person that's alleged to be Epstein, had a normal circumcised penis. But we hear in one of the depositions that his penis was weird and egg-shaped. And so he's asking her about it because more than likely she's seen his penis, right? Have to cross the Salish Sea, the mountains and the plains, but I'll be right there. You're so sweet, Abellas. I know you would too.
There's multiple red flags about how he died, and the decoy body that was moved out, the way he was killed. The picture showed an ear that looked different than Epstein's actual ear. There's all these unanswered questions.
Just take it.
And this was one of them. And I'm not sure if you can answer that or not, but did he have a deformed penis in any way, or was it a normal penis? Sorry for being very descriptive, but just I'm really curious to see if he does have a deformed penis, like they said in the deposition, that means there's a big unanswered question. There's a false piece of information in the autopsy report that came out.
Well, I've seen the tattoo photos from the files. I don't remember Jeffrey having a tattoo, but this is back in the early 2000s. He could have, eventually, had a tattoo, or, give him a tattoo, draw a tattoo.
I'm going to break from that for a minute and remind you that it was like 2003 that the victim was writing in that journal. Why are all these women from like the 2000s, and where are the women that are from this time period? Because we know what was going on up probably until he got arrested. This tattoo thing that she's going to talk about is very, very interesting. And it made me have some more questions.
Whatever in his body. I don't even know what it's called. I don't have tattoos. And he was very much against tattoos. I told him one day that I wanted to get a tattoo on my back, and he scolded me and said, "You are not allowed. I don't give you permission to put that on your body." Like, he was very just controlling with what he told the girls they should do to their bodies.
Again, because they were his, he owed them. He wanted perfection. Of course you cannot get a tattoo. Absolutely not. You are mine. You belong to me. You are perfect the way you are, and you will not change anything. They probably weren't even allowed to cut their damn hair.
I have studied all of those autopsy photographs. I've studied the photographs of the cell. I think there are way too many sheets. I don't think there's any way that someone can hang themselves in that manner, and it would have been a sloppy job. I thought for a while that wasn't him until I studied photographs of his teeth, because teeth are very hard to fake, especially molars and cavities and fillings. But now, after what you had just mentioned, I don't believe that would have been him on the autopsy table.
So she still hasn't completely answered the question. We're going to get an answer to it. And I find this really interesting. Yeah, the cell had way too many sheets. When I was in jail, we could get away with like maybe having one extra blanket. We did have sheets. We could have like one extra sheet and one extra blanket if we snuck it, if we were able to like hide it. And we would, because we didn't have pillows. I see jail cells, they get pillows and shit now. I'm like, y'all got it nice in there. We would always keep an extra blanket to use as a pillow. But there's no way that you're keeping that many fucking sheets in your cell without them knowing. Like I said, you were lucky to have one extra sheet and one extra blanket. All right, here's the answer to the question.
I recently gave an interview with Tina Brown, who is the former editor-in-chief of Vanity Fair magazine. She also was the editor-in-chief of Daily Beast. I think she launched Daily Beast. And I believe the Tatler magazine and the New Yorker. So she is a very, I would say, incredible writer. And she's also mentioned in the Epstein files, but in a good way. Like, he hated her because she was probing into him. And she wrote, based off of my conversation with her, she said he had Kullman syndrome, which means that a man is underdeveloped, like from adolescent moving forward. Your genitalia does not fully develop. So you have like this childhood size genitalia, and I would agree that's what he had.
That's so interesting. You said heck yeah to the ice cream, right? When they're talking about this man having a childhood genitalia. What'd you say, Matthew? I missed your first comment. YouTube must have ate it up. That's the only one I saw from you, honey. Tina Brown smelled a rat, said to content. I was about to call you Solistic. Better get over fast. I got the last piece of cake, but we have a bowl or more of ice cream. Okay. I had a piece earlier when we made it. Yep, that little egg-shaped penis. So let's look up Kullman syndrome. What is Kullman syndrome? Kullman syndrome is a genetic disorder. See, let me pause right there. He wants to create this master superior race using himself, but he has a genetic disorder. So it's a genetic disorder that prevents a person from starting or fully completing puberty. Kullman syndrome is one of a group of conditions termed hypochondriac hypogandism. To distinguish it from other forms of hypochondriatric hypogandism, Kullman syndrome has the additional symptom of a total lack of sense of smell or a reduced sense of smell. If left untreated, people will have poorly defined secondary sexual characteristics, show signs of hypogondism, almost invariably will be infertile, and at an increased risk of developing osteoporosis. A range of other physical symptoms affecting the face, hands, and skeletal system can also occur. That's really interesting. And if he had issues procreating, where were all these babies coming from? She does say that he has child-sized genitalia, though, and I'm assuming she would know. I mean, the girls giving the depositions would definitely know. Maybe he had enough money and power to get past that part. I don't know. Do not teabag my ice cream. I will not teabag your ice cream.
Okay, and that's Tina Brown found that out from her research as well.
We got like 2 more timestamps.
Well, I don't know if she spoke to the other survivors. I spoke to her because I remember what it looked like. Like I said, I paint portraits of people, and I have pretty good photographic memory of things. I don't remember every single detail, but that's something that I do remember. And he was very small. I don't really want to get too into it.
Of course, no. You've given more than enough.
But
yeah, you've given. Sorry, thank you for the information, brother. I apologize.
Oh, you're welcome. She did call it. There's an actual.
You can tell she got nervous. The way she just got up and moved, she's very nervous. I believe her in this. I believe that she did see it. I don't know that they had sexual relations, but I'm sure that there was some sexual things that happened. Maybe not all the way sexual, but basically, I'm sure she saw his member. I don't know. If you'd like, we can cover Robert and Ghislaine one day. I'll also share where the info is obtained from. Big reputable sources. That would be cool for sure. I just pulled some articles and read it. Not in Reddit. I pulled articles and read them. I will look into that too and try to find more verification other than from just the one person. That would be a a great thing, Abraham. I would love to do that. Matthew said, women and children are not possessions and should not be treated as such. That monster had a child's prick with a disgusting man-sized appetite and delusions. That is facts.
Boom, 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 bam.
It makes me sick. And it's like, is it because of, like, did one cause the other? Was he such a disgusting thing that wanted to own women and just to be involved in the boys club of debauchery because of that? Because he was insecure about that? I don't know. Oh, Orange said, as a nurse, I've seen a lot of male genitalia and it varies. So how do you determine it's childlike? That's a good question. Like, are you comparing it to somebody you're with now? And is that person well endowed? I don't know. That is a great question. I wish I had the answer to it. You think he walked around naked? She talks about the cameras, about there being evidence of him having cameras, and that she says, I am pretty positive that he would not have had a camera in his room because he would not have wanted that on camera. He probably would have been embarrassed. Right. I didn't have that on my bingo card for tonight either, Cindy. Okay, yeah, that would be cool. I would love to do that, Abraham. You have to give me some time to look into it more and try to find some reputable sources and see what we can pull on that. But yeah, that would be great. I would love to do that with you. We'll have to get together and see when we can get on camera and talk about it. And she give him messages. She had to give him massages and have sex with him. I would think so. Maybe.
Actual medical term for it's called Kullman syndrome, and then she also wrote that Hitler also had the same syndrome, which is very strange, and that's information that was new for me. And
why is it that these two men that allegedly have the same syndrome with a genetic disorder want to repopulate the world through eugenics and genetic breeding? Does anybody else find that really interesting? The two men, if Jeffrey was into this, that did some of the most horrible things, the horrible studies into eugenics, wanted to repopulate the earth, Epstein with his own seed, even though he had a genetic disorder. Maybe it was hairless, no puberty. Maybe it might look childlike without hair, depending on how big it was. Napoleon complex. Yep. If he's a grower, not a shower, but honestly, size varies more than some may think. It does. It does. Maybe it affected their brain too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe that explains all the sex toys, and maybe it affected their brain. It's possible. There you go. Because of their lifelong embarrassment. Yep. Never thought I was real till I saw a grower. Wow. Oh, really? That's interesting.
You could look up and do some research and get more into what it means to have that.
And we just did go through that and talk about that. My next one is 55. We're going to read this email. So this is going to go back to the girls on Zorro Ranch, being from other places, okay? This is going to be an email between Epstein, allegedly, and a young girl. It says Epstein to a redacted victim or redacted girl. Okay. I might let him read it. I need to start at the bottom. It sounds like, okay, I'll just let him read it.
What I want to do is go through it and just try to get a sense of what he's trying to do in that back and forth and whether that was part of his strategy. So the first message is, if we go to the bottom, I think that's where it starts. Or it starts in August 2nd, 2014. Yeah, that starts at the bottom.
Not that I've heard.
Now that I understand, try to take some nude photos. Be open, brave, sexy, wild, dance, jump, have fun, live. Those.
So let me get us caught up because I was just talking. From Jeffrey to this redacted victim says, now that I understand, try to take some nude photos. Be open, brave, sexy, wild, dance, jump, have fun, live. And then I guess he responds again and says, I think that you should, hold on, let me let him read
Epstein to a redacted victim or redacted girl. We don't know who that is. Actually, we'll see it seems like a victim as we read on. And then, okay, I asked my friend, so she will take some sexy photos tonight or tomorrow. So I'm assuming that's Epstein telling that girl, like he got a friend to take photos, so maybe he can send those examples. Oh no, that's the girl's responding. Sorry, the girl responded, okay, I asked a friend, she'll take some sexy photos, and then she says, I think that you should take some of yourself first. That's Epstein replying. Now, I want you to be free with yourself first. I think you should study English. Go online.
Oh my goodness.
There are many classes. Then take the TOEFL test. I think it's an English test. The photos should not be porn, but should be sexy. Do you watch porn? Redacted. Redacted, for example. You want to be free without being porn, but laugh, have fun. And then he says, you are going to be 22, not 14 years old.
So he's talking to a girl trying to get erotic photos, not porn, but sexy poses, like semi-nude photos, right? Telling her to take an English test to make sure she can speak English, and then telling her you're going to be 22, not 14. So if we go back to the Zorro Ranch allegations about there being bodies buried out there of 2 foreign girls that were killed during fetish sex, I do think that it's a possibility that he could be importing girls, literally trafficking them from other countries, and saying things like, you know, to a 14-year-old, you're going to be 22. Take the English test. Make sure you can speak English well, and take these photos. Do you watch porn? We're going to hear more on that. I wanted to read out loud what Matthew said. Matthew said, male insecurity is no excuse for developing those appetites. If you have a small prick, learn to eat off the plate. Learn your partner inside and out and focus on what you do well. Facts.
Boom, 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 bam.
I don't think that we ever would find anything that we could even begin to say as an excuse for what this monster did to girls, to women, to babies, to children. There is no excuse. I think he did a lot of it for blackmail, and I think he did a lot of it because he wanted to own girls. I feel like he probably was very much picked on when he was a teenager or young adult, and he wanted to own girls because of that. And I think that he also made the boys' club of debauchery. I know I keep going to that, but that's the only way I can think of to describe it. And we're going to go more, my next episode is going to be more into that kind of stuff, to blackmail these politicians and people of power. He didn't get here. He started out, if I'm not mistaken, I think that he didn't start out wealthy. It was not until he became employed by the Rockefellers that he started rubbing elbows with all of these people. And if you're trying to come into a world of wealth and power, and you want some of that wealth and power for yourself, how do you do that? Well, if you're not born into it, into a place, into a society that's very much on what you're born into, what your last name is, what you would provide for them something. And I think he provided these things for them, which is sick.
Society's getting sick. And then she replies, I watch porno, of course. Okay, when I'll be home, I'll take some myself also. Yep. And then replies, okay, I didn't know. Then try to take today to be free. You look great when you let go. Think sex, intimate videos, have fun, learn English. She replies, okay, with a smiley face. And then he replies, last message, send me your 3 favorite porno links so I can see what you like. Don't be shy. So that was in 2015. That was a long time after you were abused by Epstein in 2000, I think it was.
Did you see where he... April Love, good to see you. Did you see where he was, Wexner was just testified to Congress? Wexner did give him millions. And again, you have to ask why. He started out as the equivalent of a clerk in a stock firm, I'm pretty sure. And she talks about how he would watch the stock market extensively. So, I mean, he could have traded in stocks, but again, they talk about that. They make deals to make certain stocks go up, and I don't know. I feel like there's more shit. I feel like it has to do with Wexner. I feel like it has to do with when he worked for the Rockefellers. I feel like that he probably got information from the stock firm. And I think at the end of the day, it all goes back to him creating the boys' club of debauchery. Epstein didn't start rubbing elbows with the wealthy and important, powerful people until he met Ghislaine. She was the introduction into that world for him. That's interesting. Where did he meet Ghislaine? Look up why he became Skeletor. Okay. Well, you can help me with that. Why don't you come tell me? Or you can tell me later and we can talk about that in tomorrow's episode or Sundays. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or Sunday.
Do you see any similarities knowing Epstein? What do you think that back and forth means?
That's the way he spoke to me. That's the way he spoke in general. He asked me for a photograph, and it was similar. It was, I wouldn't say it was pornographic. It was erotic. It was like a semi-nude photo. And I did give him one, and he displayed it to my horror for everyone to see in one of his properties.
Now, you've got this woman that you want to be your wife, and you convince her, or one of your wives, you convince her to send you a naked photo, and so he posted for everybody that comes into his house to see. Again, I think that's to exert power over her, to put her in her place, basically. You thought this was something special between me and you. No, you're just like all of them. And I love you and I treat you better than other women, but at the same time, I own you. And when you send me these photos, I will do what I please with them. Very much controlling. April said, and it's not lost on me that Abercrombie and Fitch is under Wexner brands. Really? I had no idea. And the CEO had those allegations of young men being taken advantage of. I knew about that, but I had no idea Abercrombie and Fitch was related to Wexner. That's really interesting. For the moment Ghislaine set foot in New York, from the moment Ghislaine set foot in New York, she was a socialite bigger than life and the New York social circles coming off the big scandal of her dad. Okay. You can play Shara and I will be skeleton. I'm gonna ban you. I'm gonna ban you're banned. I'm gonna put you in the corner. You better stop it. This is
he
not
was
the time to
clearly
talk
displaying photographs of the girls for strangers to see in his properties.
Did he ask for your permission?
What did I walk into?
Oh no, not at all. And everyone recognized me when I went to visit. Like they all knew it was me. They all said, "Oh, you look great in that picture." And like, like, why is this out? I didn't say anything, but I was mortified.
As you would be. I mean, again, I think it was to exert control. It's unreal how this dude came from nowhere to become super wealthy and not only rubbing elbows with powerful people, royalty, etc., but actually be able to blackmail them all. That is a good point. How did they trust him? Free Solistic, stop it. How did they trust him to do these things in front of him that he wouldn't use it as blackmail? And who was he? I mean, did he keep the blackmail? Did he give it to somebody? April said her dad was filthy rich and connected. She probably swiped his Rolex when he was unalived. Her best reference for intros to powerful men. That's interesting. Thank you guys for the information on that. As socialites, do they go to a lot of party? They go to a lot of party, and that's where they met at a party. Yeah, that's true. But they were like gasoline and fire, the perfect combination to do all these debaucherous things. How did that start? Like, I guess over time, becoming comfortable with somebody.
That everyone saw it. And I wasn't the only one. There were several pictures of other girls whose images were displayed. They were all like kind of like semi-nude. They were not pornographic. They were erotic images. And this, going back to the entire harem and the system of the harem, this is very common.
Stop it.
For like like the head of the harem, the king, the sultan, the leader, to display the collection of women and girls that he owned. It could have been, exhibiting his collection, or there could have been another purpose that these photographs served. But I can't answer that with certainty.
So I think she's hinting at the other reason being they were basically on display for men to pick, which I think could be a possibility as well, exerting control over these girls that sent these photos to him and trusted him. And he's putting them up for everybody to see because, one, he wants people to be able to have their choice of the girls he chooses to let them have. and two, to exert control over her. I don't think that she would have been available to anybody who walked in the door, but some of these other girls would. April was saying no, the Rolodex, the contacts and address book. Very, very possible. I wonder. I mean, that's probably exactly what happened. Like I said, I need to look more into him specifically and Ghislaine and how she grew up, but I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility. No, he was no king. He was the king of nothing. Good night, Nightbot, said Jenny Jim. They trusted him because of his connection to her, despite what her father did. He was very successful and liked by everyone. Wasn't until the end of his life that he began to get paranoid and do all sorts of crazy things. So that was about it for this interview. They go on and talk about not a whole lot else. He thanks her for the interview. And definitely, if you guys want to watch everything, I mean, we went over pretty much everything that they talk about, what she knows, what she saw, but she was very much sheltered from other things, the other girls. She references in this interview, I just shared the link for you guys. She references in the interview how she got called over there on a day and the secretary had gotten the days mixed up and another girl was supposed to be there that day and she was made to go home, and the secretary was mortified about this because the girls kind of weren't supposed to know about each other. But again, she's one that he wanted to be her wife. He wanted to be his wife. I think Ghislaine was one of the wives. I think that the girl we talked about, the dentist, was one of his wives. And I think that she would have been one of his wives had she agreed to have his baby. How many people are having his baby? I believe the victim's journal, the way that she writes with such compassion, hurt, sorrow, not understanding why. I think that that is an accurate representation of a 16-year-old going through something like that. Lots of questions about why, not understanding, because you've got everybody that's in a position of power in your life, your parents even, trafficking you. I hope that she got the help that she needed. So get that AS. What? Freebie for spec. Stop it. It was displayed for him to relieve that victimization minute by it was displayed for him to relive that victimization minute by minute. Most predators do that. That's another good point too. Very well could have been. I definitely agree. I need to make you a mod. I need to make you a mod. Yeah, he's getting a little hyperactive. I'm sure the children are in there being hyperactive with him as well. I got to put the cake up. I got to go put the cake and ice cream up so they'll chill out and get ready for bed. All right, y'all. I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you for talking to me about this Epstein stuff. I do want to do another episode that's going to go into the Boys Club of Debauchery. It's going to be an interview also from Mario, as long as I don't get struck or anything for going over that one, which I shouldn't. I want to gather the timestamps and other videos to kind of back up like we did in this video. I really enjoyed this. I really feel like we got through a lot. I also want to do another episode with Abraham about Ghislaine and her childhood. If this is something you guys would be interested in, just please hit the thumbs up on your way out and let me know. We will be doing a part 2, which is going to talk about the human meat and all of the other debaucherous things that would happen allegedly there, and things from the DOJ files. If it does really good, I'd like to go through the actual DOJ files. You guys will have to let me know. Maybe I can make a post and ask if you guys want to go through the victims' journals any more than we have, and just kind of what you would like to see covered about through these Epstein files. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. To anybody that's watching on Kick, I've heard that there's some like issues with commenting sometimes, so I'm going to look into that and see if I can make sure y'all can comment here as well. Edith, thank you for being a member for 14 months. That was super sweet and supportive of you, and I really appreciate it. Miss Scorpio has been a member for 7 months. I missed that the first time, I think, and she dropped a heart. Thank you so much for being a member for 7 months. That is amazing.
Amazing.
And we almost have a YouTube baby. Thank you for that. Miss Scorpio also gifted 5 Speculation Station memberships, and Orange Rose sent a super sticker. Thank you guys for that. Thank you everybody for your comments. Thank you, Matthew, for being here. Matthew says best wishes to Mr. and Mrs. Speculating Mods in chat. It's always been a pleasure. Time to put Junior to bed. Good night, all. Good night. I'm going to put my littles to bed as well. Thank you for the compliments on that. I thought I would do something different. I haven't straightened my hair in years, so I thought we would try something different. All right, y'all. I hope you guys have a good evening. I'll play the intro, kind of outro song. I do plan on redoing this. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I will see y'all again either tomorrow or Sunday. I want to get these timestamps together, so it'll kind of depend on how long it takes me to do that and other videos. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. Abraham, I'll email you or you email me about doing the Ghislaine episode too. And yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Matthew. It was good to see you. Jenny, Wolfpack, everybody. Hope y'all have a good night, and I will see y'all soon. Until then, stay safe. I can't scroll down. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess I'm going to end it here because it won't let me scroll down. What can I play? I'll play the troll clip to close it out. Y'all stay safe out there, and pray for these victims, and I'll see y'all in the next couple of days. All right, bye.
I can talk proper and I can talk ghetto. Both times you heard what the fuck I said. Okay?
Okay.